Lovelies, how are you guys doing? I am still having the technical difficulties. Let me see what I can do to clear that up so I can see your chat. Hi, I'm here. I made it. Look at me. I have a completely new set. I moved to the other side of the room. So, good morning, Jazz and supporters. Alice Morrow Dennis says, good morning, all. GC says, good morning, all. And that was Sherry Urban that I started with. I said, sorry, I had to reset the time. No worries. We'll be here. Susan, DA, you're so nice. You guys are all so sweet. Oh, you're like the opposite of the trolls. So what do we call those? The fairies? Are you guys like the YouTube fairies? The welcoming committee, right? That's what I would call my kids as I had more children. They were like the welcoming committee that grew, because the first one didn't have a welcoming committee. She just had these two boring grown-ups. So the next one, he was quite a bit happier with his little munchkin. They were so cute together. She was 2 years, 3 months when her baby brother was born. And then 3 years later, we had the second one. So he had the welcoming committee. He had a 3-year-old brother and a 5.5-year-old sister. Then by the time we had the fourth one, she had a 5.5-year-old brother, an 8.5-year-old brother, and a 10 or 11-year-old sister. Am I doing my math right? It gets so confusing. Anyway, yeah, my oldest was 10 when I had my youngest. So the youngest, she's quite spoiled. She's 11 now, and she's still the baby. But then I think I've shared with you guys the truth is that I would say to my husband, like, doesn't it bother you that we have 4 kids and you're the biggest baby in the house? I say it with so much affection. And it's his birthday today. So happy birthday to Mr. Jazz, right? So I was thinking about, how I go with my anonymity of Jazz, Xena, Justice. You want to call me Z? You can call me any of those things, but call me Z. You know the whole thing. Don't call me late for dinner. But I still feel like I need my anonymity. And, I think that that's just a smart thing to do. When the time is right, I'll give you more letters. Too much alphabet. Who was it who said that the other day? Too much alphabet. That was one of my favorite comments. All right. So you guys are just so nice. Annie Ruler, time reset gave me time to wake up. Good. Yeah, I've been awake for a long time, but I was taking my time trying to get all my cool stuff just right, and the duct tape and the spit, all of that. I think, oh my goodness, and that video from a couple days ago, I'm sorry, it's still doing this crap. That video from a couple of days ago has had like 7,000 views now, I think. I think it's like 5,000 with the, since I edited it, edited, there we go, edited. What a stupid word. Since I edit it and took it out of the live sector, I think it maybe has had 3 or, I wrote it down, 3 or 5,000 views. I think it was 5,000. So plus another 1,500 from when it was alive before it was unalive. Isn't that funny? I know I wrote it down. I have so many notes. Yes. 5,000 just since it's been an unalived video, you guys. The one from the day before yesterday, the one where yesterday I had to retract all the statements that I had made in it. The one where I think I might have discovered something, but no, I'm going to retract all of that. I discovered nothing. None of it is true. I'm just delusional, right? Just crazy, batty old lady. So let's get caught up and do my disclaimer. Everything I say, everything I'm about to say is simply my opinion, and I will retract it by the end of the show. I'll change my mind. Girls got a right to change your mind. So I always come to my people in my chat hoping to have a very lively discussion and learn something. You guys teach me so much. You always point me in the right direction. And so I'm kind of mad at you because you guys forgot to point me in one of these directions. We'll get into that in a second. All my videos are made specifically for YouTube, which is an entertainment platform. And I know there's other platforms, but I just like to stick with the YouTube. So I hope that YouTube will do us right and quit doing us dirty, right? Because there's just a lot of effery. But that's everywhere in the world. I don't know that we're ever going to get away from that. I don't know. I know some people like other platforms better. I just kind of like to stay where I'm at. The whole don't fix it if it's not broken. So if it breaks, then yeah, I'll pack it up. But I don't want to get anyone's hopes up that wants me to pack it up. If you want me to pack it up, then I won't. So I like to be a pain in the butt like that. I think I may be the only person I know that tells the coffee pot to hurry up. LOL. I'll set it now. You know what I do? My husband doesn't know this. I don't think any of my kids know it either. I steal coffee as it's percolating. So it's super strong. Like I have to add some water, even though I like my coffee strong enough that I can stand a knife up in it. I drink it from a hubcap, because I'm just tough like that. That's from a Beck song. Anyway, I love my coffee super, super strong. But when I take it out of the pot before it's ready, I do add a little bit of water, but it weakens the rest of the pot. So I have to be super sneaky. But I'm just not patient enough. I have to have my Java when I wake up. I cannot wait usually. Sometimes if I can distract myself. Good morning, good morning, good morning. So who else we got here? GC, Francine Grenier. Four Frogs Fat Asses. I was going to say Francine G because I can't do last names. I'm just not, my mouth doesn't move the way I try to tell it to, or I just don't even know what I'm supposed to be moving it like. Kale, Crime Story Diva, Miss Amir Zaza. Thank you all so much for being here. They are paying attention because, are you talking about the trolls? So you guys, I have my hat. If I have a hat emergency, you'll let me know, right? I'm going to try to go without for the day because I do want you guys to know what I actually look like. I mean, of course, I look like how I look in a hat, but it's nice to see everybody full face once in a while, just in case I go toe up on you and you need to hunt me down. You'll know what I look like, right? What I was saying yesterday about when people don't show their faces, when they hide behind their glasses and their hats. I could come on in my COVID mask or my ski mask. So actually I do have a gator, a really beautiful gator. I'm not going to grab it because I'll kick everything over. I'll maybe show it to you later. It's so pretty. Later gator, but it's knit and it's like purple, greens, and blues, and it just like blends. And I actually was going to wear it for the video, but then I thought it'd get too warm. Okay, so here we are. We're diving right into it. 36 watching and 15 likes. Thumbs up for Zena. Thanks. Kale Sima says, hello, you look fine, really? Well, I feel fine, you guys. I feel really good. I've been trying to pace myself. I take my channel so seriously. I really do. As much as I like to joke around and make light of it, it's my passion. I love it. It inspires me. You inspire me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I like to be hyper focused. I do best when I'm focused, and I like to stay on top of my game. So this is why I usually try to stick with one case at a time because it's easier to focus. When you have too many cases, you just have too many wild cards, too many names. It's hard. With this case, it's hard enough with all the freaking Brents and Bretts and the kings and the queens and the jacks and the rest of it. Anyway, love your smile, lights up the room, makes me so happy. 16th like, Sima, thank you. Excellent. Okay, so Harsh, my competition, I'm just kidding, like I'm in the same league as him. And he hasn't even dropped in the chat in forever, unless he's just being a lurker. Hey Harsh, say hi. He's done 3 today, you guys. He's done 3. And I just think that's fabulous. One of them that he did was so important to me, and we'll talk about it. It was kind of a recap of the original 911 call. Somebody sent him information way back in like probably November, I think, the first couple of weeks after the quadruple homicide of the Idaho 4. somebody sent him some insider information and he shared the gist of what they said. And I'll recap it real quick, in just so you know specifically what I'm talking about. You've probably heard it all before. And I'm going to try to knock these out. And there we go. I can't believe Microsoft and McPhee. Like, now I know why people hate that company. I don't want to badmouth it, but I always wondered why people had a beef with the Redmond, Washington company. Now I know, because they're bullies. They try to bully you into buying stuff. Anyway, the 911 call, Harsh had somebody contact him and say that they were maybe one of the people that were summoned or something like that. They were very close to the situation, so they had firsthand experience. They saw with their own eyes that what had happened that morning was that Dylan and Bethany woke up. They went into the kitchen. They saw Ethan, and that the red stuff was everywhere. And they freaked out and they ran out of the house. And I think it was Dylan allegedly that passed out, and Bethany was just like freaking out. And people gathered because they were like, what's going on? And they tried telling them, and that's when all they could say was that one word, the DEAD, right? And this might not be accurate. This might be whatever. It's a story. So brain hijacking. Hey baby, calm down. You're okay. You're all right. Poor mailman, UPS man. Anyway, where was I? Totally hijacked. The 911 call, they're outside. So the person that called, one of these people grabbed the phone because probably Bethany was calling with her phone and she couldn't come up with more than a single word. So they told the dispatcher that somebody had passed out and they didn't really have a grasp of the full picture. So again, this might just be a bunch of wires crossing in the telephone game. But Harsh sketched it out today in one of his 3 videos, and I was really glad that he did, because I had wondered what happened to that. I had wondered if it was, something that just got lost in the telephone game, lost in the shuffle, lost in the mix, or if there was any accuracy to it, because it sounded very plausible. So then when the first responders came, they were coming for the person that was passed out outside of the house. And then when they got there, they found, so I guess that Bethany and Dylan had seen both of the 2 roommates on the second floor. I'm not sure, but they definitely saw all the red stuff, and that's the story. So I'd recommend keeping up with Harsh, because he's great and his videos are just so concise and to the point. And that was one of them. Another one that I caught part of this morning is the latest from the channel that I think might be the content creator that made that weird videotape with their cell phone into the blank computer screen, talking in a low voice about the very intricate details of what happened in the quadruple homicide. The thing we've been talking about for a couple of days, the thing that's gotten the 7,000 views already since the day before yesterday. So that newest drop from this morning, or I don't know, maybe you dropped it last night, but it took a long time to process and it posted early this morning. And I saw about half of it. And what I thought was most important was that, and why, even though I didn't finish it, I wanted to discuss it a little bit, because it's the introduction of a new lead detective, you guys. Detective Mowery, Mowery. And he's recently been trained up with the Latah County SWAT team. So I'm thinking he must have been there at the incident in Pullman on December 14th, 15th. I think Detective Mowery is with the Moscow PD. And allegedly, this content creator channel says that he's the lead IT detective. But it sounded like he'll be taking over the lead because the IT is where the whole case is going. And I just thought this is really great for the lead detective that takes 4 hours to show up anywhere, that he gets to be not in the spotlight, not in the hot seat, not have everybody grilling him and asking him all the questions if he knew Brent Kopaka, if he was affiliated with him, if his brother knew him or was affiliated with him. You know, question after question, those pesky, pesky questions from inquiring minds that think they need to know and they don't need to know jack. Right? They're just like, screw y'all. We're the cops. We do what we want. That's that. And yeah, that's how they can roll often. The higher the profile, the more pressure there is from the public, the more they need to spill the tea to get people to STFU, right? That's my favorite part of the whole story, you guys, is when Dylan says STFU. And then how did that fit into the story? Remember one of those 3 times she came out of her room and said, "Shut the F up, everybody, I'm trying to sleep." So maybe she felt guilty that those were the last words to 4 of her best friends. I've kind of had it with all the crap. I think we're getting gaslit. I think we're getting punked. I think we're getting lied to. I think we're getting played. I think there's a whole lot of effery. So this is what I'm mad about, you guys not telling me. Maybe you did tell me and I missed it. Hold on. I don't like to be mad with you, but it's okay, right? We'll get through it. That T-REV from 5 days ago, I think, where the mom called in. You guys, I remember you guys telling me that there was a mom from Pullman that called T-REV and that I needed to see it. And I was like, it wasn't Kim, was it? And you guys were like, no, it wasn't Kim. But I don't think you hit it home and said, go watch it now. Here's the link. So yeah, I'd recommend anybody who hasn't seen that yet to go watch it now. And Kale, can you drop the link for the T-REV episode from 6 or 7 days ago with the Pullman mother? So I want to talk about that for a second. That's a really, really big deal. And those of you that have seen it already know. I heard that story early on. Then affidavit said X was viewable first. Annie Ruler, you're bad. You're making the lead detective look bad. Yeah, you are correct. The affidavit said that Xana was in the hallway and that Ethan was way back in the room. Way back in the room. So, which is it? Sima says, I have a question. Everybody always takes videos of whatever happens by their cell phones. There's no video of the girls who were unconscious and freaky. You know, there should be some Ring doorbell cam, right? Absolutely. Such a great point, Sima. Thank you. Such a good point. Nico, hello. I think the gag order is in full effect, Sima. Right. The gag order is in full effect. It is. Although they keep releasing hundreds of pages of documents with the gag order in full effect. Make that make sense. Latah County. Thank you, Kale. Latah County. I tried it. I usually just say county. I said Latah County, right? Thanks. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sima, college has that much control over the students' neighbors. Did law enforcement tell them no sharing? Right. I mean, I'm sure if you're on campus, everybody's talking, right? I mean, locals are going to have a whole different story. So this mother who her kids are like in their 30s, the one that called into T-REV, and she lives in Pullman. She's lived there for like a year. She said she moved there when her kids were going to school at WSU. And of course, she wanted to remain anonymous. But she had the skinny on everything. And I'll just tell you that I'm buying her story. I am actually not skeptical at all of what she's saying. Um, and maybe I'm a dummy, maybe I'm being punked and had by that, but I believe her. One of the things that helps me think that I can trust somebody is when they're not polished, when they're not trying to sound like they have the whole thing under control, when they're kind of being a little spazzy. To me, that's more genuine. So she was a little spazzy. I'm not saying that in an insulting way. I mean, it's got to be nerve-wracking to call into a big show. T-REV's channel has gotten huge, and good for him. He's worked his tail off, and he's a great musician. But one of the things that really blew up his channel, I think, was when the criminal defendant or somebody pretending to be the criminal defendant called in. And I never really caught that episode, and I never really caught the skinny on whether people thought it was actually him or not. There's just so much to keep up with. And I love T-REV. I love his channel. Um, and I'm surprised that I missed that whole thing. But if anybody has an opinion about it and wants to share, please do. Let's see. I think there is more than meets the eye as far as silencing the snitches, just like effing Truckee. And yeah, that T-REV has that excellent song called The Truckee Way, and I finally did post it in my community tab the other day. So if you haven't heard his song, I think it's probably like 2 or 3 posts back. It's excellent. It's really good. I think it's as great as the Kevin Neese song, My New Friends, that I love so much. One of the reasons I love that Kevin Neese song is because it's about a dream that he had where Kylie came and spoke to him. And I think it was before he even started covering her, and why he started covering her. But I like dreams. I like the way dreams tie into our awake life. Good morning, y'all. And there's a gobbledygook coming out about who was in charge. All the ring stuff probably in the hands of law enforcement officials. Who was in charge at the scene of the crime? Is that what you're saying? Kale, is that the gobbledygook coming out about who was in charge? All the rings stuff probably in the hands of law enforcement. 700 pages, Kale says. Yeah. Latte joke. Oh, like Latte County? That's funny. Latte County. She has lived there. Oh, thanks, Kale. She lived there for 7 or 8 years. See, I just listened to the that T-REV video from a week ago with the Pullman mother. I just listened to it last night and I was riveted, but I was doing stuff while I was listening. So I was distracted because I thought I heard her say 1 year, and then he was saying, oh, so you're real familiar with the place. You really know it. And I'm thinking, why is he saying that when she says she's only lived there for 12 months? But I thought, okay, well, compared to like having just gotten there like a month ago. But I misheard. She said 7 or 9 years. I'm behind the live, but I'm going to rewatch later, just getting my coffee. And yesterday was long. Is it the Kim lady? Cranky. That's exactly that was my first question. I'm like, no, not again. No, this is a mother of, I think she's Black, and I think has 2 sons that went to Wazoo, and they all live in Pullman, and her sons run businesses in the town, and they're kind of high profile, like pillars of the community. And so it's kind of shocking that she's calling at all. I'm thinking that maybe she thinks it's not going to get back to her sons, because she's like, if they knew I called, they'd be really mad. So yeah, she's saying some really harsh stuff, and it's scary. She's kind of saying all the same stuff that I was saying the day before yesterday, I think, essentially, but worse, because mine was questions and hers is statements. So that's my take on it. That is funny, because that is what Scammy Sammy was attempting when she made it into the Unicorn All-Star Smash Up. Kale, you're cracking me up. I don't even know how that fits in. Let me get a drink of water all of a sudden. Hold on. That is funny because that is what Scammy Sammy was attempting when she made it into the Unicorn All Stars mashup. I don't know what you mean by that, but I love it. I love it. Hi people. Hi Justice. Hey Maria. Am I saying that right? Maria S. Snitches, not sneeches, not stitches. LOL. I like to say, it used to be that snitches get stitches until, some of these cases like Kylie Rodney case where snitches get riches. So that's like the new. Yes, lattes. Yeah, lattes are great. I actually like mine like cappuccinos, so it's less not coffee substance. It's mostly coffee substance. I believe her too. I'm afraid for her though, because it wouldn't be hard to find out who she is. I hope she's safe. Absolutely, CG, but it's just like what I was talking about in the live yesterday with the movie, and I looked it up so that I can have it accurate. The Insider with Russell Crowe, 1999. If you say nothing, nobody is safe because, like what happened to the Idaho 4, and people are getting away with it, and it can happen again, and it can happen to you. So you might think it's safe to lay low and say nothing, but it's really not. Then nobody's safe. So you have to, in my opinion, my perspective, you have to stick your neck out. You have to take the risk. You have to call a spade, and hope for the best. You can't let fascists control you. And that's pretty much what it is. We live in America, you guys. Freedom of speech. You can say whatever the F you want to say. That's the whole concept behind the country. Come on. So, yeah, to have law enforcement say you can't talk, the gag order, like, yeah, that applies to the professionals involved. It doesn't apply to the students that walked by. They're not under a gag order. You can't do that. We live in America. But they'll pretend that they can do that. And then if they get threatening enough, one of the things that this mother brought up was the with Matthew Kurt is the guy from Wazoo that was on his sexcapades on the clock that resigned November 1st, 2022. Then there's another guy. Oh, goodness, I haven't thought of him in a little while. The guy from Pullman PD that was put on trial for assaulting the 18-year-old. And Matthew Kurt was with him that night, and the 18-year-old. So, if you guys want to try to help me come up with his name, it's totally out of reach of the brain. But so the sergeant from Pullman PD that was put on trial and was fired and had pretty much done what Brock Turner did at Stanford University. He did it on the clock in uniform with this 18-year-old kid in his custody. And she was not only inebriated, she was also having a medical condition because she's diabetic and she hadn't eaten all day. This guy is a piece of crap. The mom was talking about him. And I appreciate that very much because a lot of people don't talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about essays. We don't even want to say the term. It's really gory and it pushes a lot of people's buttons and it traumatizes a lot of people and it triggers a lot of people. So it's really, really hard to talk about. Does anybody remember his name? So Matthew Kurt hooked up with him and the girl that night. I think that he had first taken her back to her room and then she got out again. And then Matthew Kurt got her and then they both got her, I think. and it's just disgusting. It's absolutely effing disgusting. So that happened on Chief Jenkins' watch. And it's not like it was a unique thing. And it's not like this guy wasn't known for being a freaking dirtbag assaulter. It was commonly known. So that's how Chief Jenkins runs the department. So when he comes in to save the day over at Wazoo, when they have to get rid of their whole command staff because they let Matthew Kurt, because they did what Chief Jenkins did at Pullman, they did it at Wazoo, and then Wazoo wanted to cover their own butts by saying, well, we didn't know anything about it, so we have to get rid of all of them now that we found out, right? And then Chief Jenkins said, oh, well, guess what? I'm available to work for you and start collecting my retirement on my old job and come over and get another six-figure salary from a new job and look like Mr. Good Guy, because people forget. Even people that live there and know things will forget. But you're in a town with a high turnover rate because it's pretty much all college kids and faculty. So you're not going to have a lot of people that are even the same people there 5 years later. Let's see. I'm going backwards, you guys. Okay. Let's see. Where are we at? GC. I'm going to reread the one I tagged of you. I believed her too. I'm afraid for her though, because it wouldn't be hard to find out who she is. I hope she is safe. I'm not so much afraid for her because I think she's a smart woman and knows, like what I just said, that not speaking can be even more dangerous than speaking. But I don't want her to get in trouble with her sons. I don't want her to piss off her kids. And that sounded like that was her biggest concern. She didn't sound like she was necessarily scared, unless I just missed that part. I mean, if she was scared, she wouldn't have been calling in to a YouTuber, I don't think. But she's trying to put out a message in a bottle like, hey, world, we need help over here. Kind of like some people in Truckee were trying to do that. Speaking of early rumors, remember the guy that said webcam was pointed at their house? Is that part of sorority OnlyFans? Annie Ruler, you need to stop with all of this astute stuff. You're killing me. No, I love it. I absolutely love it. Dang, Annie Ruler. Speaking of early rumors, remember the guy that said webcam was pointed at their house? Is that part of sorority OnlyFans? An amazing question, Annie Ruler. You win a prize. Kale says, no, not Kim. Don't give away too much. Okay, we'll quit talking about that because we got a lot to cover anyway. And I want to keep up with you guys. Cranky says, wow, I'll try to find it. Are you talking about the T-REV thing? Because I don't know if Kale dropped the link or Nico, if one of you guys could drop the link, that would be awesome for the T-REV video that we're discussing. Good morning, y'all. And also, if you want to drop the link for that harsh reality, if you want to drop the link for the one about the new lead detective, but that's a lot of links, and I don't know if you can find them all. I'll try to put them in the description if they don't make it into the chat. Maybe even if they do. I don't like to make promises though, and then I might forget. So it's a maybe. We'll see. like yesterday, I was so glad. I said I'm going to try to do my Cliff Notes from the day before yesterday, and then I'm going to see if I can get yesterday's Cliff Notes done. And then I didn't remember that I hadn't committed, and I thought, oh, I'm failing. I'm not getting them both done. I did get the one done, and I'm working on the other one. And that was one of the reasons why I was starting late, because I was trying to get it done before this so that I can get caught up. But, it's okay. All I can do is try my hardest. I'm on it. So yeah, she was trying to sound genuine by sounding unpolished. Well, yeah, I mean, like when you think about Sammy Scammy in her interview with Tony Dodge, and she's trying to, have the whole story all together, and she's trying to talk in straight lines, and she's not, because she's fabricating and lying, and she's trying to sound polished. And it's like, it's okay. Your friend's missing. You're not going to sound polished if you're like panicked because you think your friend might be dead or trafficked. You're not going to sound polished. You're going to sound panicked. Where was the panic, Sammy? You forgot the panic. And like this woman calling into T-REV shows, she was, I'd say, a little panicked. She was alarmed. She was rattled, right? Because she's concerned. She's concerned that these 4 kids, and she kept calling them kids, as they are kids. They're college kids, even if they're 21. Come on, they're college kids for us old ladies, right? Um, Snitches land in ditches. Yes. That's not funny, right? Snitches get riches. I like that one. So it pays to tell. It pays to snitch, you guys. Like it used to be that snitches get stitches and land in ditches, but now it's the snitches that get the riches. So you want to be the first to let the cat out of the bag. You want to rat out your friends. If there's a big cash reward, that's how you roll. Gotta have my coffee ready. They need to stop unaliving people. We have to risk stupid dang thing. Popping up windows into my chat is so not cool. They need to stop unaliving people. We have to risk everything for justice for these victims, but the money walks the talk. Yeah. Yeah, all these people are on the take. So, one of the things that she said that was kind of new to me, not a lot of what she said was new to me because these are the same things that I've been suspicious of. But I think I've been a little suspicious of it. But she said that Moscow PD and Pullman PD and all of the police departments around there are all basically in cahoots, and they all have a bunch of bad officers, and they don't care. They just pass them around. So when you screw up at one department, they send you down the river, right? Just like the rest of the world. I mean, that's pretty much how it works. They might be scared and silent, not gagged. Exactly, Kale. Thank you. I think you hit it on the money right there. Myra says, I apologize for the mistakes I may make. I am from Portugal. You look beautiful today, Justice. Sorry, do not know your name. The hair up looks good on you with the bonnet too. It's actually one of those weird, like, oh, and look, I just showed you my bruise. I've been beating myself up. It's the weird, hair tie that is kind of like a old style phone cord. So yeah, you guys, I fell. It was the day before yesterday. Look at that. Look at how nasty that is. It was right before I went on camera with you too. I was putting up a curtain to block out the light, not the one that the cat moved. If it was that same one, then I might have had to hurt the cat too. But I was on a stool that was all sturdy and the legs are like metal, like wrought iron, but not wrought iron because one of them bent and the damn thing just came out right from underneath me. Luckily, it was only like a 14-inch stool. If that had been like a high stool, I mean, still, I felt so lucky. It hurt a lot, and I have a lot of bruises. That's just the one that's the most visible that I was gonna try to keep hidden. But but I like to show my warts and all with you guys, right? Anyway, yeah, that hurt. Yeah, you gotta be careful, and, yeah, getting up on any stool or chair, you have to realize that, of course, the legs could break out from underneath you or anything, and it just bent, and I didn't even realize it. I didn't know how it slipped. I thought it, like, slipped on the bamboo mat that was underneath it, and that made sense, but then I realized just today when I was setting up that it was actually bent, and I was like, "Oh, that's what happened." But, yeah, it was probably a combination. The bamboo probably slipped and that's what made it bend because it is really solid. It's not wrought iron. Obviously, it would not have bent if it was wrought iron. And I thought it was wrought iron. If I knew it was not as strong, I probably wouldn't have done it because I have other stools. When you have kids, you go through a lot of stools. And IKEA makes good, sturdy plastic stools. And actually, one of our best wooden stools is from IKEA, too. But you go through a lot of stools because you figure out which ones are safe and which ones aren't. And we still have two of our safest IKEA kids stools because you need stools all the time. Like that's one of the great things that you start to acquire when you have kids that is good to acquire whether you have kids or not. The other one is wipes, baby wipes, right? When you don't have kids, you don't think about having baby wipes with you all the time. But man, those things are the greatest. Those are the greatest. Um, for everything, cleaning, anything, um, just taking care of business. Oh, let's see. I have the name somewhere. Oh, you have the name of that awful officer from Pullman that got fired for sexually assaulting the 18-year-old. So disgusting and so sad. So what happened with that was it went to trial. It was a hung jury, and then it didn't get retried because the girl didn't want to go through a new trial. The mother that called into T-REV said that she had been um, bullied, and the fear factor that she'd been threatened, basically. And I would definitely believe that. Absolutely. Um, yeah, Sudi, they went to trial, retrial, then she couldn't go through it again. Thank you. We're like right on the same page, but I'm 10 minutes behind you. And Sudi says, I remember the story. It was horrible. Yeah, I'm just looking for the name of that. Dan Hargraves. Is that it? I think you nailed it, Sudi. Um, yeah. T-REV's live 5 days ago, 45 minutes long, and linking it here is hosing my ability to listen to you. Okay, I'll put it into my description because I definitely want to share that with people. If you have trouble finding it, you'll find it there later today. So yeah, Sudi, thank you so much. Dan Hargraves was the evil, disgusting perp that he got fired, but he didn't get jail time. And I don't think they should have needed to have her to testify again because the things that they had on him, his freaking sperm DNA on her freaking shirt sleeve, you guys. Just saying it because that's what it was. They had his DNA on her shirt sleeve that wasn't just his DNA, it was his freaking jizz. So gross. So gross. So they had his freaking jizz and they had cell phone pings, and he went dark while he was on duty, which you're not allowed to do. He went dark while he was doing his evil freaking crimes. And that's all they need to put him in jail. They don't need to traumatize an 18-year-old kid who's been through hell. They don't need to. But they pretended like, oh, well, she's too scared to retestify, so we're done. Okay, those are the same things they're trying to hang our criminal defendant with now. His DNA on the, and not jizz, but just his touch DNA on the knife sheath and his phone pings. And I can't reiterate and underscore enough. I have no interest in trying to protect a criminal. None. I have an interest in protecting the integrity of our judicial system. Innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. This criminal defendant is being found guilty already. It's done and dusted. The fix is in. The railroading is over. And I'm thinking that that is probably what he could have meant when he said, I'm looking forward to being exonerated, is he knew that he would be getting railroaded. If he was getting arrested, he'd be getting railroaded, and that he'd be found guilty. And that given time, he would be able to prove that there was more to it. We'll see. I mean, he could be guilty. He could be guilty all by himself. And all of this is just a whole bunch of noise, right? You got to keep an open mind. Um, I can only be here for 30 minutes work break. Where are we at? We're at 44 minutes. So yeah, we might want to wrap this one up too so that I can get finished with my two Cliff Notes, the one from yesterday and then the one from this, and then be back on track. So yeah. Good morning, not so dumb blonde. Hargraves or Hargraves. Yes, I think it's the second way you had it, Kale. I think it's the same way Sudi had it, if I'm remembering right. Good morning, beautiful. Hope you are all having a lovely day. Kale says 100%. I was referring to Sammy Smith, not the mom on T-REV. Yeah. And these pop-up things, it's like the worst advertisement in the world for their company, because why would you ever go with a company that does that kind of crap? So again, my husband cleaned up more of the bugs last night, so it's not as bad as it was, but I'll have him do it again tonight. And then maybe get my 15-year-old on it, the 15 and a half-year-old. He's the absolute computer wizard of the house. Like all of the kids and my husband are all really good with computers, but the 15-year-old is like the freaking Einstein. He's like the guy in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Like literally, he's got these machines in his room that are going all night. He's obsessed with like 3D printing and stuff. And just because the machine is doing it, you still have to be like an engineer to figure out how to program the machine and to make what you want to make. And he's been doing that stuff for years. It's hilarious. Or if it was SS was not panicked because she knew all the answers to everything she brought up, right? We have her, I have her, that was one of my favorites. I have her, another one of my favorites of Sammy Smith was when she said, that's not where she was located or something. That's where she was located. Like, what a weird word to use when you're talking about located. Like, that sounds like they were discovered. Anyway, she gave herself away so many times. And I want to cover Kylie again soon with all of that stuff that some of the other channels have been covering. I want to keep the momentum going with the Kylie Rodney case. It needs to stay active. Absolutely. Sudi says, please get another sturdy stool. You know, the sturdy stools were in the other room. I didn't think about it because I thought that one was sturdy. Like I said, I thought it was wrought iron, and I was incorrect. And it had been tightened up recently. So I really thought I was fine. Thank goodness it was only 14 inches tall. Thank goodness I didn't like hit my head or glass or anything. It could have been really bad. It could have been really bad. And I was able to still go on. You know, I was in some pain, but it wore off and then, you know, it set in later. Hargraves is his name. Thanks, you guys. You're the best. Squatty Potty is best stool ever and so strong. Kale, I thought you were talking about the Sammy Smith interview with Tony Dodge when she's like, yeah, we popped a squat. It's like, you don't have to tell us those details. I know Tony Dodge wants to hear your golden shower details, but the rest of us, you can just say went to the bathroom. That's fine. You don't need to get into the nitty gritty of how it all occurred. So I thought that's what you were talking about. I thought you were going to say the squatty potty was like the best part of the interview to you, but that's funny. The best stool ever and so strong, just to help people poop, but it has a sturdier than necessary brace. Oh, so it's like a grown-up thing rather than like for kids probably, right? Coerced. Yes, you're talking about the 18-year-old victim of Dan Hargraves. So that wasn't that long ago. I think it happened in 2018. The trial was 2019. And like I said, Gary Jenkins was the police chief there when all that had happened. Gary Jenkins was running a police department that was no better than Wazoo, right there in the same town. Pullman PD, Wazoo PD, they're out there raping the freaking college kids, you guys, on the job. Can my head just freaking explode? These are the people in charge. So Gary Jenkins is still in charge of Wazoo PD. We all know that he was the one who interviewed the criminal defendant last April. They have no record of the outcome of that. Somebody made a comment in one of my videos yesterday, probably the video from the day before yesterday. They said that there were 2 women that were given that assistantship, and that it was like you could find it somewhere online, but I've never heard that. I don't know if it's true. It was interesting though. It was the first time I'd heard anything like that. Since they don't have a result, they don't have an outcome of the application process with the defendant. I agree. She shouldn't have had to, justice wasn't served with this young lady. It's really sad. It's really creepy. Like, how on earth could you send your kids to one of these schools as a parent, knowing the culture of these places? Like I said, when I lived in Olympia, Washington, like 35 years ago, Wazoo was known as the sexual assault college. I had no idea until a couple of weeks ago that it was not the frat boys that were responsible for it, that it was law enforcement. But of course, as an adult, that made sense to me, because otherwise law enforcement would be arresting the people that did it, and it wouldn't be happening so prolifically. It's so disgusting. It's so disgusting. I have interest in justice and truth above all. I'm interested in not condemning innocent people, so a fair and transparent process is therefore essential. Of course, sometimes it's good to state the obvious, right? Maybe he was threatened that they were going to make it all him, unless, are you talking about Koberger, Kale? The ID and Ms. Banfield have him signed, sealed, and delivered as guilty, and now they are on a mission to put it all out there in front and downplay the chicanery. So I heard an Ashley Banfield, I think it was just this morning, where she said, source says, instead of like sources say, like now her source is source. That's the name of the source. Source says, maybe it was the one about the, no, it wasn't about the remote control. It was the one about source says that he's not as skinny as he looks in the pictures. He's a big, scary guy. He looks like a big 200-pound scary guy. It's like, okay, Koberger's 6 feet tall, I think, at least. And he's 185 pounds, I think is what it says on his driver's license. Like, that's fairly slender. That's not bulky. It's not muscular necessarily, but it's athletic. No, I mean, could be a muscular, bulky person at 185 and 6 feet tall. It's somebody who's fit. I just thought it was hilarious. Source says that he's scary looking, that he just looks like a little toothpick on the pictures, but the people at jail are afraid of him. It's like, so she's just trying to paint him into the character that she's trying to paint him into, because source says. Oh, yeah. I wonder what her crazy 8-ball says. Thanks for that comment, Kale. And let me highlight that one, because that just made my brain go all kinds of directions. Rachel Smith says agreed, and now McAfee says protection disabled. The first story I heard was Xana was thought to be passed out in the bathroom. They couldn't open the door and called friends to help. That's when Ethan was seen in the kitchen. Story changes daily. Right. There's something about the bathroom. They mention, let's see, Corporal Brett Payne mentions both bathrooms in his initial, what is that, the affidavit of his report of when he first arrived, and he says we responded at 4 o'clock to the call that came in at 11:58. I mean, he literally says that in his own affidavit. Um, I guess just to get it out of the way. so so anyway, yeah, he mentions both bathrooms in that affidavit, that bathroom on the second floor and the bathroom on the third floor. So there's probably reason for that. He doesn't ever mention anything about a drop of red stuff, does he? I don't remember anything about a drop of any red stuff. It almost, from reading the affidavit, it almost sounds like that they would have these knife wounds that didn't bleed. I mean, seriously, the way the affidavit reads is like the stuff didn't come out of them. It's crazy. Like, it should be mentioned. It should, the affidavit should give you a picture of what's going on. Um, yeah. Let's see. Let's get caught up and sign off here, you guys. I have her completely, quoting Scammy. I'm 8 minutes behind. And McAfee is part of that reason, because I keep having to delete all those stupid pop-ups. Where's Old Man Jenkins? Chief Jenkins is at Wazoo PD. He's the police chief. So he was hired as the interim police chief last summer, and he has had his designs on being the permanent chief. I don't know if they've made him permanent official yet. I think he's still there. But he says in a television interview, he had said that he offered to Chief Fry to help, that he offered to have his whole department help. And Chief Fry said, no, we're good. Thanks. No, thank you, which I found very odd. I thought that there must be things that Chief Fry is wanting to hide from Wazoo, and or that they're just competitive with each other, and that he wants to act like he's good, he's got it, he doesn't need their stupid help. You can stop pop-ups. Think it's in settings. Well, I think that I'll run that by my husband. I mean, he tried last night, so it's not as bad as it was yesterday. It's kind of like when you have the flu, like you slowly get better. That's what's happening with the computer. But thanks. We'll check it out. Had to dip over to Larissa. She's not leaving us. Excellent, Susan. Thank you for the good news. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. I was really sad right after the video live that we did yesterday, and she was here, and then she did her peace out video, and I thought, okay, she needs to do what she needs to do, and I figured she'd be back someday, not today, but that is excellent. That is so awesome. Yes, 2 females, Dawn Daniels and Victory Murray or something. No, Dawn Daniels isn't that the she was the she's like a 20-year employee at Wazoo that was holding down the fort when the whole administrative staff, the command staff, was put on a paid administrative leave. Before they hired Jenkins, I think Dawn Daniels was the one who was doing the job of 3 or 4 people. Yes. And she's a sergeant, and she has a history of misappropriation of funds, which is always just a telltale sign of corruption, you guys. It's always the misappropriation of funds. It's always the budget. Follow the money. I still think Kay knew about the crooked law enforcement officials and the trafficking and blew the whistle. In my opinion, that's why she graduated early and went home. She only came back for the weekend. Many had an yeah, I totally agree, Annie Potts, 100%. Um, 100%. And when you said Kay, I actually was wondering if you're talking about Kylie Rodney at first. And that could be literally the same template up there in Truckee. It could be OnlyFans. It could be the trafficking. It could be the whistleblowing that Truckee was worried about Kylie blowing the whistle, that her mom was worried about her ratting her out. It could well be pretty much the exact same thing. It could be. Jenkins is the new chief of police at Wazoo. Yes, Rachel Smith. Yeah, so Chief Jenkins was the police chief at Pullman for a long time. And he had like a 57-year career, 47-year career that he retired from in June, so that he was suddenly available when all the command staff resigned after being put on the paid administrative leave, and they were allowed to basically skate away from the disciplinary action that was determined to be being implemented. And so they left, and there, voila, done. I think she was lured back with the +1, Annie Potts. I agree that could have been Dylan that was put up to it, just like in the Kylie Rodney case with Kate and Mags trying to get Kylie to that stupid party. Like, why do both Kaylee and Kylie have that same story, that they went to these parties that they weren't really planning on going to? And then they're unalived. True journalists are ethically bound to disclose sources. Kale, you know, are they? I mean, you pose it as a question. Rachel Smith says Jenkins said Fry froze him out, didn't need his help. Fry had FBI and $1 million. Jenkins didn't get a cut. He probably had BK on his books. Yeah, I totally think something's up with that. Just missed most of it. We'll replay later. Well, thanks for coming, Jaded Warehouse. Yeah, we're just about to say goodbye. Annie Potts, I am still disturbed about all these touchy-feely photos of the girls. I wouldn't be surprised if Kay knew. Yeah. Yeah, there's supposed to be laws to protect whistleblowers, you guys. Like, that's a big thing. That's a really big thing. There was something I wanted to share with you about that. But I also want to wrap up the movie that I spoke about at the beginning of this video and spoke about yesterday, The Insider, the Russell Crowe movie from 1999. That's exactly what that character that he plays was, the whistleblower for the big tobacco industry. And there are laws to protect whistleblowers, but those laws don't protect you from thugs. They can't. So it's good that they have those laws, but it's unfortunate that they need to have those laws, because you should be able to get things straightened out at work. You shouldn't need whistleblower laws, but you do need them, but they don't work. That's my point. So, all right, here we are. We're signing off. Still disturbed. All these touchy-feely, yeah. No red rum fluid in affidavit at all. Thanks, Nico. Yes. And Banfield should be shamed and go work for the Inquirer. Well, she pretty much is turning News Nation into that, in my opinion. Hey, John Courtney and Rachel Smith. I felt that, Annie, when she turned in Sharon Archer 10/5/21. She unfortunately made contact with Blaker. Huh? What am I missing? Sharon Archer. I'm totally missing something, Rachel Smith. and I do want to wrap up. We're at an hour and 4 minutes. So I'm going to highlight that one, and maybe we'll pick up here tomorrow. I feel that Annie, when she turned in Sharon Archer, October 5th, 2021, she unfortunately made contact with Blaker. So Sharon Archer, I don't know, and Blaker, I don't think I know. I think it's strange to dig up KB's past 11 years ago, and no one wants to know about the events immediately preceding the crimes, such as the party with Kaylee and Dylan and the football game. Maria, if I'm saying your name right, thank you for that. The football game. That is, I keep my focus on that. Exactly. And right, 11 years ago, Koberger was giving unwanted noogies. So, I mean, not to make light of it, but seriously, if that's the worst dirt you can come up with on somebody, being rude to wait staff, being a sexist grader, giving unwanted noogies, being overweight, awkward with the opposite sex, these are not things that make someone a red rummer. Goodness gracious, people. Yes, that's, let's see. Have a great day from Costa Rica, Amy Conway. Hey, Liza. Whistleblower laws rarely protect anybody. Worst in the internet age. My advice, live your life, shout your mouth. I'm sorry, but that is reality. I like to say, if you got something to say it. So on that, I'm going to say peace out. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for making this live what it is. I really feel like I learned so much from you guys. Thanks for going live this morning. We appreciate it. Have a great day. State of Play is Russell Crowe, Jay Daniels, and Ben Affleck and others. Excellent movie about protecting sources. Oh, cool. Another Russell Crowe. That man is a major hottie. So have a great day. Take care of yourself. Get your exercise. Eat right. Be productive. Take it easy. Breathe. Meditate. Eat, pray, love. Be kind and be respectful. Demand kindness and respect from others. Thanks so much, you guys. Peace out. And I will see you again tomorrow morning. Let's just go ahead and schedule it for 11 tomorrow, since I'm going to try not to have to push back the time. I think that should be safe. So again, you guys are the best. Sending you light, sending you love. Have a great day.